pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approve the minutes. There was one little correction, just the time.
So move.
Don's moved.
All second.
Tim seconded, all in favor.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
There's some tax abatements there too.
I'm sorry?
There's some tax abatements I handed out.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Oh, I just looked
Right
at
here.
it for you, Tom.
Handout on tax abatements. I've looked through them. I don't know if anybody else has a chance or if they want to. Any discussion on?
I so move.
Move to authorize the director chairman to sign 3 tax abatements in the amount of $567.92.
I so move.
Don's moved.
Second.
Jesse seconded, all in favor.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Is the I don't know, we signed the checks last week on the infrastructure and all like that. Should this been adopted or been passed before we sign them? I mean, now we already signed them, so does it really matter?
Well, I visited with Angie a little bit after that, after I got, coming back and Pete got thinking about it. We hadn't
I mean, I
signed any documents to authorize that, even though it's in the budget. And right now, we've got the papers here that we have been signing, to my knowledge, I think every 6 months.
We do it every January.
I'm
and
sorry, every, just once a year.
It's done every January and every
I got
June,
thinking
and those
about
orders
it.
will usually go out in January.
I just like to
Mr.
say-
Chairman, I
Yeah.
usually do the Parks and Recreation and Cities Infrastructure every year, so I don't know
Right.
why that,
Maybe they
she
don't
felt the
finish.
need to do that.
Yeah, I have them in my tickler file, half ones before.
I've been doing it since I've
2001,
come to Coffee
since I've been
County,
here.
so you need to stay in your own lane.
Okay. So like I said,
Can't
we've already
believe I
signed the
have something like
check.
that.
We signed the checks already. Is it? Are we going cart before the horse or what are we doing here? I guess it's just a question. Is it cart
Well,
before
my
the
thought
horse?
is, this should have all been done before we signed the check.
We've held the checks. We're not gonna do special issues on them when they normally go out in January.
Okay. All right. So does anybody want to read over what information before we do anything, or are you good?
I'm good to go ahead.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, this is something, to my knowledge, we've done every year.
Yeah, we have.
And we approve it every year, so.
Yeah, it's awful nice to kind of look over and see what they do with their monies previous years, and how things are looking out for them, what they're planning. But
Yeah, we received a recap today for a little bit of Grizzlies and a little bit on Waverly, but we haven't got the other 3. They got to March 15th to get that recap to us.
Okay.
And in previous minutes, they were always in correspondence about in February.
I'm sorry, Angie, I can't hear a thing you're saying.
In previous minutes, they showed up in correspondence in February, so that's what the previous minutes said that you guys approved, so.
Well, we've always done it, and they're gonna be getting their money. That's the main thing, so
I just didn't know if anybody wanted to look over and see what they should spend their money on or anything like that.
But there's 3 or 4 of the cities, we don't have documents on that yet.
but we mostly have always got something.
Yeah, I've never been denied.
Yes.
Like I say, it's nice to just kind of look over and see
Right.
what's going on. So, move to authorize the director chairman to sign the letters of cities regarding first
first half distribution of 2021 infrastructure grant funds.
Also move.
Alan moved,
All second.
Tim is seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Move to authorize and direct the chairman to sign the letters regarding the 2021 city park and recreation grant funds.
I'll move.
Bob moved,
All second.
Tim is seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. That is Jeremy here?
No,
He's on for 9:05. Guess we'll give him a couple minutes.
Wayne's not good at around 25.
Yeah. You might
Around her. Where to go?
text Wayne, he might be ahead of schedule.
Already 1 month down. Wow.
It's impossible with 1 month already gone.
Before long, it'll be 6. Time flies when you're having fun.
Even if you're not, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have Jeremy's number, do you?
no, but I can call the hospital.
Yeah, just,
Wayne's on his way.
okay. I mean, he's on the agenda, I only give him an opportunity.
He said he wanted to be on every first Monday. I was notified of nothing different.
He must have forgot.
I don't see it on here, and Wade may have it, but do we need to opt or non-opt out of the governor's extension?
I just didn't talk to Sawyer. For his employer.
I mean, it's something, do we need to take care of that?
Wasn't Wade investigating that
Yeah.
last week?
He was supposed to be reading through,
Yeah.
governor's resolution.
Resolution or
So I
something.
thought he might have something, I just didn't see.
I'm sure he'll be down here after a bit.
The governor's supposed to make some type of announcement today, but whether it's tied to that or not, I don't know.
See, the numbers are way down in Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Corners are good in Coffee County.
17 last I think.
Yeah, the numbers look like they're almost down by half.
Yeah.
That was problem.
Good morning, Paul.
It's quiet this morning. Where's
We're just waiting on you, waiting on you.
Yeah. Waiting on you.
Well, if you've got some spare time, you got something to
You
share?
got a few minutes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
heck, yeah.
So,
Jeremy,
good morning, good morning.
Morning, Tom.
Good morning, Facebook land or whatever it is,
YouTube.
Yeah. So, we are in the process of, chasing our tails here at the sheriff's office over vehicles. We have put out to the rest of the county entities, if anybody's interested in Randy's old pickup. And Wade, I spoke to Wade about it anyway. Lo and behold, Road and Bridge jumped at the chance to get that 3/4 ton pickup. So,
We know a good deal when there is one.
so Wayne, I'm sure here in a short bit of time is going to be talking to you about wanting to have us transfer that vehicle to him. We looked at Kelly Blue Book and it lists for $32,000. Wayne had said that they had $30,000 that had been transferred to them. And that's a fair value to me. I'm not gonna argue $2,000, especially when it's going to another one of our entities.
Actually, Tom, I have a little bit more than that. When we had done our budget for 21, I actually had budgeted, a 4-door half-ton pickup for $33,000. So out of Public Works Equipment Fund, you already have budgeted $33,000.
Again, whatever you think is fair, I'm happy with, with any dollar figure we get there. That being said, I'd like to take the money that we're getting for that vehicle and immediately buy a half-ton pickup from Cromartie Ford that we got bids on last week. To replace that vehicle, in the transfer upon my taking office, the lake needed a vehicle, our process server needed a vehicle, and one of our canine units needed a vehicle. They had been stretched out over 55,000 miles. They were having many problems with them. So we transferred vehicles that were in better condition to those officers. Plus, I have 2 vehicles that just are ready for the rotation of the 3 to 4 or 5 year span. So hence the dilemma that we came into Tuesday. Normally we would have purchased, $26,000, $28,000 Dodge Charger police cars. We would go out of county to get those bids through state contract. I'm trying to buy locally as much as I can. Tuesday at about 3:30, we were notified that due to Dodge not making that vehicle anymore in the all-wheel drive V8, why I have no idea. But due to that, GM is no longer taking any bids after 2 weeks ago for any police package vehicle in the United States. So now I can't even go to GM and get a police package vehicle. So now I can't get a car and I can't get a police package vehicle. Now we have in GM. So we immediately started looking to see what we could do to figure out what vehicles we'd be driving rather than on a bicycle. And Phil has got this 2020 sitting on the lot that is more than appropriate for us because it's going to an investigator. It's not like it's going to go to a deputy driving down the road at 130 miles an hour. But that being said, that's why I'd like to immediately purchase this 2020. I'll get a motion for you before the day's up. So it wouldn't cost us but $10,000 or $11,000 of my own budget to pick up the extra cost of this. It's a $55,000 truck that we can get for 41 with all the incentives. Plus I've got 6 vehicles that I'm going to trade in. That being, with all the vehicles that the prior administration have, I've cleaned vehicles out of my lot that I can get rid of to rob Peter to pay Paul.
I have a question. I don't know if it's the proper time, but you brought Wayne into the conversation a little bit earlier. we just authorized 2 new pickups for road and bridge, half tons. You're willing to sell them a 3/4 ton, and they were just gonna move on these half tons down to their fleet. Why don't you just move the 3/4, probably 3/4 tons what you want in the fleet anyway. So why don't you just move the 3/4 ton down and trade him one of those new pickups you got, and you guys that drive them every day can continue to use one of those older pickups instead of us keep buying more and more vehicles. We have them, we all work for the county. Why don't we just trade them around where they work the best? Just a thought.
I can look at what Wayne has and see that. I'm not opposed to that.
I'm assuming usually when you're thinking disposing of a vehicle, its mileage is way up there or mechanical issues.
But sir, like the 4 of the 6 that I'm gonna trade in or sell at the county auction have at least 155,000 miles and are just having problems with transmissions, with engines, you know, with suspensions, are rusted out. Like when there's one at the lake, that they give the lake. It's got some major wiring issues. It's rusted. It's a 2007, I think. It just is not reliable enough to get them back and forth to Melbourne to the lake to have repairs done or get fuel at the county shop. So we've taken one of our vehicles that's got, I think it's got 93,000 miles on it. That's reliable, that we're switching out to the lake, and then that vehicle will come in and either go sale or to trade.
Am I following you right, Tom? Are you reducing the fleet that Randy, our past sheriff had?
Yes, sir. I'm reducing
By
6 vehicles, but I need 2 additional vehicles.
So
Plus
you're
this one I'm
reducing 6,
getting.
but you need 2.
That's correct.
Am I following right?
Additional to the one that I've got from my before. It's just the vehicles that I've replaced, I've taken out and gotten rid of. For example, past administration purchased a vehicle for the jail to use. It's been sitting in the parking lot. They haven't been utilizing it. They are now. The vehicle they were using is going to trade in or the lot, and that vehicle is being used. I can't see vehicles sitting in our parking lot or down at our annex that aren't being used of any value to me other than I'm paying taxes and tax for them. So I'm getting rid of 6, but I need 3 vehicles just to do the regular rotation of my cars that are miles out ready to go.
I guess my question is, anybody else? Am I the only one that's thinking a trade might be a good idea instead of buying brand new, all these new vehicles when we have them?
If they meet the requirements of what the sheriff office has to have, I mean, I don't see a problem with trading, you know, vehicles inside the county entities, you know, to make, as long as they're fit your needs.
Yeah, I don't know what Wayne has, but we can sure sit down this afternoon and look at that.
Just food for thought.
I think it'd be a good time probably to sit down and analyze maybe. I'm a little bit confused on, you know, your total request, but the other side, maybe need a little more understanding of it, Tom. I kind of see where you're going, and then with Wayne's 2 vehicles that we have approved last week or 2 or 3, maybe something could be worked out there, so.
But we'll look at it and get back with you, I guess.
They're, you know, they may possibly fit your program real well.
We'll look at it and get back with you. Okay. Your motion's still up.
Okay, thank you. Well, I appreciate you coming in early.
That's fine.
Jeremy was on, do you have something for us, Jeremy?
You ready for me?
Sure. She had you down at 9:05.
Oh, okay.
So
Did I have you too early?
No, it just showed up at 9:15.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, on my,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we'll figure it out one of these
Okay.
days.
well, we'll just have you at 9:05 first Monday.
All right,
How's
we'll do that. Well, good morning. Yeah, good to see everybody. Just wanted to give you guys a quick few updates on what's going on at the hospital. Last week we did have some good news. Our PPP loans were forgiven from the government, so that would amounted to about $2.77 million. We had anticipated that that would be recognized and forgiven, but we did get official word last week that it was. So that helped cover a lot of our additional payroll expenses that we incurred last year. In addition to that, wanted to kind of give you guys an update on some of the funding that we were able to use from some of the HHS money that we received. So some of the projects that we've been doing at the hospital, we were able to replace some of the carpet with new like linoleum flooring for infection control purposes. Stuff that was a lot better cleanable surface areas rather than this type of a, carpet area in a hospital healthcare setting. We were able to do that in clinics as well as the hospital hallways. So in a lot of circumstances, those carpeted areas already needed to be replaced as well. So it worked out good that we didn't just go in and replace carpet that had just been replaced or anything like that. So that worked out positive. We have given out all of our vaccinations for 195 doses. So that included 95 of the Pfizer vaccines that we got that first round, and then 100 of our Moderna. That at this point suffice for all of our healthcare workers that wanted to be vaccinated at this point in time. If we hire anybody new that wants it, or somebody decides that they're ready to take the vaccine that hasn't gotten it yet, we just have to reach out to KDHE and they will work out some sort of a situation where they will either get us more vaccine or they'll get us to another facility to where we can pick some up. So that should work out well. And then in addition to that, we're working collaboratively with the power plant to, as the outage is coming up, we're going to be helping them with the screening processes for anybody that might have signs or symptoms of COVID, helping them do just the antigen testing. So stuff that we can do in-house that we can get a quick turnaround on and be able to tell them if they can go ahead and work or if they need to send them home. So we anticipate, I think, needing around 400 of those tests. And I know that we've been working with Lindsay as well here at the health department, and they were working to get us some of their tests that they were donated from the state. So that should work out real well. And we're gonna hopefully be able to have somebody up there at the power plant to be able to test or be available Monday through Friday at probably early in the morning whenever they have their shift changes. So
Is there compensation to you for that, or?
yeah, so some of the testing is given to us relatively inexpensive, but where the compensation would come in on that would be for the cost of the administration. So the cost for the labor, we can bill for administration fee for that. And the power plant, it should be getting with us today to let us know on the agreed upon rate that we'll be charging for those tests. So seems to be in the making. Other than that, we have been working on getting our 2020 books closed up. We have some numbers right now, but haven't quite finalized everything yet. As far as revenue goes, we did end up finishing our net patient service revenue right at the same as where we were in 2019, which is good. We had some good months, especially there towards the end, that was able to help us bring our revenue back up. Obviously, with some additional funds to buy and purchase equipment, we were able to purchase some CT as well as the flooring, like I mentioned. some radiology equipment. Again, it was at end of life, so we were able to purchase some things that we already needed, but be able to utilize some of the government funding that qualified for some of those expenses. So with the increase of some of those expenses that we used, we had a little bit higher expenses than what we had last year. So on the books, that will probably create a negative operating margin, but we are also hoping that, that was given to us. So as long as that's forgiven, so to speak, in the end, then we'll be able to recognize that revenue and not have a loss at the end of the year. So that looks positive as of right now. So you guys have any questions for me?
Jeremy, the 195 vaccines or shots, I don't know how you want to refer to it, are those to your employees? That's 195 employees that got it, or is that 95 that's had 2 shots?
So kind of both. The Pfizer vaccine, we have given both doses. There's a 21-day spread in between the Pfizer, and so that was the first one that we got. We gave 95 of those, first and second doses. The Moderna one, we did get 100, and we gave all 100 of the first dose. There's a 28-day spread in between the Moderna, and so we're waiting on the 28 days to get the second dose of those. So those people are waiting, depending on when they were given that, their times will be staggered out throughout the next couple of weeks.
How did you get an odd number?
On the
95?
We got 85. Actually, I'm sorry, we got 80, but the way that works out is there was 5 supposed to be in each one, but 6 is, if you guys have been reading on that, 6 is what you should be able to get out of those. I think we had 1 dose that the very first one that we gave, we didn't give the 6th dose, so we ended up getting 95 out of the 96. So we got, I think that comes to 16 vials of 5, which would have made the 80. And then if you put 6 of them, because they were able to draw 1 extra because of the overfill in each one of the vials, that would have made 96. So if we would have gotten 96 out of them, that would have given us 16 vials.
So I guess the question was, if each person gets 2 of those, and you giving 2 of those, how did you come up with an odd number?
I got you. So that was 95 of 1 dose. So we got 2 95 doses of the Pfizer and 2 100 doses of the Moderna. Yeah, something like that.
So you've already received the second 100?
Yes.
To do the second shot?
Yes.
You get many employees that are not accepting the shot or not taking?
So that amounts, 195 ended up amounting to almost 2/3 of our total staff there at the hospital. So majority of them have taken it or have said that they will take it in the future. Very few people have refused, that they said that they won't eventually take it, but there are a few that have.
So you guys are not giving any shots to the public there?
We are not. So what we were allocated was just to our staff. And then we are supposed to work with the health department. So if the health department has any needs that they have to give the vaccine to the public, then we just work together to do that. So.
Anything else?
All right.
I got nothing.
Okay.
Thanks for your.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
You do the same.
I didn't know Pfizer was selling 5 shots for.
I have no idea how many shots.
I think they all come down like one.
Yeah, a little bit.
I didn't know they had 5 shot vial where the others stand.
who's in the health department said they've been coming up with extras, they would call the next person on the list to come in.
Be on standby ready.
Wayne,
Okay.
Mr. Johnson come in unexpectedly and occupied some of our dead space, so that put you a little behind, I apologize.
No, we are planning to visit about that, so it worked out just fine. And we'll, get together and visit about the truck, so with that, the one that I handed out, we'll just table that motion and have that discussion here next week,
Okay.
so. So if I didn't say so, good morning,
Morning.
and my glasses fog up a little bit.
The equipment transfer we're tabling.
Yes, sir. One road permits, one zoning permits. The next one would be to accept and sign CP2. That would be for Dave Lehman, who moved from a leadman position in the asphalt group to a section group operator. And I believe you have a copy of that.
No.
Oh, you do not, then I apologize.
No breakdown.
Here's the one copy I do have.
You okay with
And,
it?
if that would be okay, we could start there.
Move to review and approve the CP2 for David Lehman, section blade full-time transferring positions from Leadman in the asphalt crew to section blade in the blade crew within the same department. Subject to regular IPP wage classification change to MB6 with the wage to remain the same as previous position at $22.92, effective 2/1/21. Nothing's really changed. Jesse's moved,
I'll second
Don seconded, all in favor?
it.
Okay, the next one would be the rock quotation summary. I do not have I do have a last year's, but just to kind of give you an idea, the biggest one is Harshman, and they're up by about 10%. So just to kind of give you some comparables, the biggest one would be like the county road rock. That's the one we use the most. So there at Paxson, you see 2021's prices at $935. Paxson last year was $873. Lebo last year was $880. Waverly was $840. Melbourne was $840. So those are the ones we use the most. You'll see also on the 2021 rock quotation, as we have sent this out, we requested also Nelson to give us rock quotes. They did not. What they would like to do is basically board pricing. So whatever the price is that day would be the price that we would pay. But that doesn't change too much actually from last year, because last year the only rock quotes that we had was for gas. So if you went clear down to gas, that was the only place that we had actually rock quotes. APAC, basically APAC, Kansas, they're at the Hartford Quarry. You'll see the prices there. They changed a little. So for example, the Road Rock AB3 this year was $970. Last year was $925. And I'd say that's probably the one that we use the most if we use their quarry. And Wolf Creek, actually their prices are almost the same. The CMK chips was really the change. Last year we had $1335. This year they have $1405. That would be the biggest change. Everything else is almost the same numbers as last year. But those would be if approved, those would be the prices that we'd use when we're needing the rock and delivering rock as needed.
We don't have much choice, do we? If we want rock?
No, sir. But, with basically the bidding process, this gives us that opportunity to satisfy that requirement. They have prices on hand that we all agreed to and that you approved.
So even though Nelson's didn't submit a specific bid, we'll still buy rock from them, and it'll be at the prices the other business, the other rock quarries bid?
What we'd do
Or are
on,
you gonna buy anything from them?
if we needed to buy rock from them, we would have, since we don't have a price here today.
I
We'd
can't
have-
understand why they didn't put a bid in.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think there's two things on that one, Don, but what we have to do is we'd have to follow the purchasing policy. So if we felt that there was rock available, I'd have to come back to you since I don't have a price if I exceeded over the 10,000 and then get basically approval. They did not have rock, for quarry or prices for last year. I don't know if they have much rock in the county, but
yeah.
I cannot,
I don't know that either. So.
yeah, I really can't make too much comment on that one. So
We went to gas. What did we get when we went to gas?
the A1C, that would be our rock that we use for our snow and ice.
I
For the
believe
most
it was
part.
kind of special
It
what
is.
we went and got. It wasn't just an ordinary rock we got from them.
Most part, it's that.
Yeah.
There's been times where we may have used some road rock, but we would have been down in that corner, if we had. But most of the time, it's basically the ice control rock.
Even down in southeast Coffee County, it's still a long ways to go to their quarry.
So with that, you don't have a motion. What you have is basically, from the previous motion, is go out and take bids. These are the bids received, so this documents the prices that we'd be using. So the next one now would be a maintenance agreement. These are agreements that we have with Foley. They would be a sole source for our Caterpillar equipment. We have these on several of our blades, and this motion would allow me to go ahead and enter into that contract.
When it looks like it, it's 562 an hour and 6,000 hours and 24 services. And maybe I've asked this question before and I don't recall, but just exactly what's the maximum cost that maintenance agreement cost us if we have issues with the equipment?
Well, I can come up with a number, but I don't have that today for you. But there's just a little more to the agreement than what this motion basically allows. As you see in this motion, it's as per contract, and that would basically list the contract number, that FM. But what you're doing is they're providing most of all the oil and fluids that go along with this, the filters that go along with this. They also, at a certain interval, they'll come in with their technician, and the cost is basically covered on this. So, for example, hydraulic oil every 6,000 hours, valve adjustments every 2,000 hours, air filters cab every 500 hours, air filters primary every 500 hours, air filters secondary every 1,000 hours, motor grader adjustments every 2,000 hours. That's what this agreement really takes in. It provides the fluids, it provides the filters, and then at times in which they actually require the technician to come in, that would be like the valve adjustments, then it would basically allow that travel time and that time for that technician to be there. And that's all based on basically the equipment use of the $5.62 per hour.
That covers everything.
That covers what I've just discussed,
Okay.
but exclusively everything, it's a maintenance agreement.
Yeah.
I think I remember your question before that I probably asked, but I didn't remember all the details. So,
Any other discussion? Based upon the recommendation of the county engineer, move to approve the purchase of a maintenance agreement for Foley Equipment Company, Caterpillar, Chanute, Kansas, for motor grader B-022 in the amount of 5.62 per hour of equipment usage for the planned term earliest of 6,000 hours, for 24 services per contract. Contract number FM 201221-005. Funds to be paid from the Road and Bridge Fund.
Is this a new blade that we got?
The B-22, Bob, I honestly have not looked at it, but I would say most likely yes.
So that's why we don't have a contract on it, because it is.
That's correct.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I wrote down a question on your grader and I didn't ask, so.
I did not bring
Chances
up
are
that
it probably is that
information.
last one we got.
Yes, sir.
I'll move.
Jesse's moved,
All second.
Tim seconded, all in favor, or any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Well, hopefully it doesn't make any difference, but going back to the agreement on it, it's not the new one. It has 8,000 hours on it.
It's already got 8 on it.
Yes, sir.
Have we had an agreement on it before?
Most likely we have, Bob. On most of these that we've done,
Just expired?
yes, sir.
In your judgment, is it a plus for us to carry an agreement outside of being 8 years old already?
It is for us, as we're basically returning the same parts and fluids that come from Caterpillar. And that's what we found basically to be the plus in running the equipment. So
that'd be the 6,000 hours on top of the 8?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, the next one would be construction zone. So,
I have one question. We
yes,
really haven't had much problem with those cats we've been buying, have we?
no, we haven't.
Can't remember us doing much with cats.
Mhm. If you go back in history, cats actually probably about 10 years plus, they're really out of range. When we were going through the bidding process, so there was a lot of John Deeres that was placed in our fleet. And then Caterpillar's prices came down, government pricing came down, and it put within range. And we saw the opportunity. So we started replacing the cats. Construction zone, most of it's maintenance, as with the weather we had. No call outs here the weekend, as you know, with the rain. But the ditches, most of the ditches were full. We are doing maintenance on the roads. We're also doing brush control. The grinding of the asphalt for the paving crew, that is, Jesse, what we talked about here last week. That's up there by the Levo area, where we're going to be grinding out those sections where we had the potholes. And so that'd be the work there. And so otherwise, it's just some maintenance at this point. And then just some information is Wolf Creek has called. We're partnering with Wolf Creek for some detour signs. So you're actually going to find some detour signs coming into Oxen Lane that are county signs. And so what they're doing is they have a project for their gates. They're wanting to deter or stop traffic from coming into the gate. So they'll be detouring traffic over on 16. And so we're working with them to get that accomplished. So that's all I have for my
Signs, and I don't, this is actually in Jesse's territory, but I noticed on 16th off of Angus, do we need to put a couple of horse and buggy signs up there? Looked to me like the 16th going east off of Angus is very well traveled. I know we have them on Angus in some places, but people coming from on 16th headed that way, or people when they turn off, because that's right after you turn off on it of Angus on 16th, that's pretty kind of a sight unseen area.
Mhm.
do we need to stick signs there just as precaution?
I'll take a look at it again, Bob, but we've had signs put on Angus from 12th Road going north clear up to 16th, and then going east of Angus to the first home that would be utilizing those signs, the horse and buggy signs. But we've also had a couple signs actually stolen. So we've been replacing those. But everywhere that we have seen traffic or it's been brought to our attention for that type of traffic, we have been trying to place the signs. But also too, there is that section north of 14th on Angus for county road maintenance is actually Lyon County. So there's a little bit of that where they're actually placing signs as well. And so it's
I noticed that, yeah.
I don't remember seeing anything from Jacobs Creek west on 16th.
That's what
no, we only went up the, I believe it was within the first mile or two east of Angus is as far as we went for signs, but that home is actually on the north side.
Yep, out in the middle.
And we pretty much stopped there because that's where we saw the last of the tracks. And it was on top of that hill, so it was actually east of their place.
I was through there this weekend and actually the tracks go they go clear up to Wilson's Corner and then go south. So I think maybe they're expanding, but if we would put them like, which is around just west of Jacobs Creek, that would give people an advance notice for those on down there just in case.
We'll continue to take a look at it and see, as far as placing signs. I mean, obviously the signs are there to help improve safety, so we'll be redoing that. I understand that area is kind of growing a little bit anyway, so we may see more of it, more signs. Hopefully people will take note of the signs.
Eventually everyone who wants one of them signs will get it and they'll quit disappearing.
You know, if they want to, all they need to do is contact the highway department. We'll get them in touch with somebody that can sell them the sign, and we'll be glad to help them out in any way. To save them the trouble of taking them down,
Right.
you know, and being out in the cold and everything else, so.
Maybe that's a new thing for the county. Maybe the county can start selling those signs.
I don't believe we can, but I can sure get them in touch with somebody that can sell them the sign.
Right.
So that's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Anybody else got any questions?
No?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll take our break. See the wave is coming down.
Okay.
Mark?
For a while, we were temperatures today.
There's two.
Georgia, excited to see me.
Oh, I bet. What'd you do?
Stood up.
Mark,
Any luck with getting any?
Oh, Brandon shot a couple of quail. My dog pointed and retrieved, but I didn't have any opportunities. Brandon's well seasoned on that, so he's a little quicker at it than I.
Yeah. Good for him.
On a special issue, we'll have to have you come back because we've got a problem with the payroll system at the moment, so.
Yeah, several people had asked me about the W-2.
Now, people don't understand their W-2s aren't always gonna match their pay stub because if they have health insurance taken out, their year end's gonna be less for taxing.
So, did you clarify that with an email or something? Or?
Well, we've tried to talk to different people that have questioned it. I mean, I don't know what else to do really at that point, because it's not, most people realize that, but there's a few that aren't understanding that.
Okay. Then a few wanting to get their taxes done and making sure it's correct. I said, well, I just talked to you again.
I'm sorry?
I said a few is wanting to get their taxes done ASAP and
Oh,
make
yeah,
sure
right.
everything's correct.
Everybody does, yeah. They just need to talk to us if they've got issues, so.
You're back from Wade yet?
So here, I don't have anything unless they have something from me.
Okay. Here's my signature.
It's in your district, but it's only the whole 50. It's not too bad the way they brought their shoulders back in. Shoulders up. I think they should release this people back up to 55 in there and let people drive.
I think we've got 55 anyway, plus, but
Why
have a chance there.
make a chance? It wasn't all that.
It's
It's a county road, it's a
Yeah.
county road.
We got anything going on?
I've had some people argue about the 45 mile an hour zone.
He's got nothing.
But I would,
You don't have anything.
but I do agree with you. I think the line should come back.
That's probably something.
It might say that.
Might do a plus, but
I think it can't hurt.
I think.
You take that, you can find it over to that area,
At least something.
clear off that little shoulder out there and move it back to the original road. You know, use the extra when needed, and I think it will last quite a long time. Did you count the holes from falling out west?
I can count that high.
I think
No.
it was 19.
No, I didn't. It was raining when I, yeah. Thank you.
I've got a few more things for these on too.
But I thought that was 55 would be the best. People use them just, they're gonna drive what they want. The wife pin them down to.
that'd be a convenient, that's still. They determine that is yet. We'll talk about that next season, Doug,
How's your brother getting along?
So
So far, so good.
Yeah.
So they like, I'll be meeting with, well, I met last week, I met with one of his commissioners, I'll be meeting with him again this week.
Or we left it at last time. Do you? Wade says he don't have anything for us this week, so Andrew, you're,
I need to know what you guys want to do going forward with paying out for any COVID. At the end of the year is to end, just paying out, based on the federal government's reimbursement or whatever. And we've had some in January that you guys have to let them cover, but going forward, are we still gonna cover them full pay? Are we gonna reduce it to, I think it's 60% pay? Or are they gonna use their second vacation?
I would say if they contracted it during operating county business hours, like your trash pickup or your recycling people or your county employees. I say if it's contracted at that point in time, 60% of your normal pay is what I would say. But that's just me.
I don't know what it is here, but I was actually in a meeting last week with 5 other county commissioners and 2 ex-county commissioners. And this was brought up in that organization. And the consensus, and well, the agreement to that was, they all felt that if you had not used your 2 weeks, you got your 2 weeks, even though the deal ran out. But if you had used your 2 weeks, it was up to you, sick leave or vacation or whatever it might be. And that's where they went with it. And I thought that was a pretty good summary from 5 other commissioners, or 7 other commissioners in a sense. But that's the attitude, and I think that's what they were carrying back in their counties also, so that's kind of where I'm at with it.
But if you got employees that don't have any vacation or don't have any sick leave or don't want to use it, that comment doesn't take what they're gonna pay those employees. You're gonna pay them 100%, or you're gonna pay them 60%, or 75%.
If they've already used their 2 weeks, they're not gonna, if they don't want to take vacation or sick leave, you're not gonna pay them anything, I guess.
Not gonna pay them nothing.
If they don't want to use them.
And you're suggesting, Jesse, pay them 60%?
60% of their wages, if they catch it,
While on the job?
while on the job, is what I say.
But if it's outside, known that they've caught it outside, then it's on their own.
Then they'd have to take their sick leave. That's the way I feel about it.
Of course, you've always got the possibility, the unknown, whether you picked it up.
True.
I know, like our family, we had quite a few of us that picked it up, and half of them didn't have any idea where to pick it up.
I had no idea where I got mine.
I know where I got mine, but
So on Jesse's thinking, if we pay them 60% then they are eligible to use their sick leave or their vacation to cover the other 40% for that week's wages.
I wouldn't do that, no.
I don't think you can go.
I wouldn't go that route
I don't think
because,
you can go there.
because,
Have to be a
because
problem for-
the 60%, also helps get them back, want to get back to work. It's gonna stop the, oh, I've got the coronavirus, or oh, I've been, maybe infected or around somebody, and so if you're gonna pay somebody to stay at home 100%, they're gonna stay at home 100% for 100% pay. That's the way I look at it.
I just wanted to clarify it so we know.
Right. So if you run a 60%, if somebody leaves, you run them at 60% pay, that's gonna be, they're gonna wanna come back to work.
I'm concerned if a person, an employee, doesn't have something, will they come to work even though they've been around something?
If they've been notified to be quarantined or does have it and have to stay home, then I think it's kind of a bad situation. If they do come around, I think
I think it gives
there's
you.
recourse for
There's
that.
some legal recourse, I
Yeah.
think. If they've been contacted and said, stay at home, and they turn around and don't tell the employer or tell the person, their boss, I think they can get in some pretty serious trouble.
Well, I personally like if they, I know it's supposed to expire the first year or whatever, but if they hadn't done their 2 weeks or hadn't had to use the 2 weeks that was offered when this all began, I don't have a problem with doing that personally.
Right, just because
Just to keep it
the term has expired doesn't mean that it's gone away.
Right, exactly. So I don't have a problem with that as far as the rest of it. 60% is fine by me.
That's something I've never been involved in before, so it's all a new ballgame, probably a new ballgame. for all.
New ballgame for everybody.
I think the suggestion Jesse's got 60% on what we've been talking about. I can support that.
I can also support the 2 weeks if they haven't.
If they have
If they
it,
haven't, yeah.
If they never had to use it, then yes.
Does that answer your question?
Okay, so to be clear, if they've never used the 2 weeks for COVID, they can use that. It'll be
Right.
full pay. Okay, if they have used the 2 weeks and they're come up with COVID, then we pay them 60% of their wages for the time they're out. Okay.
If they don't have vacation or sick leave, right?
It's either or.
Was that the only?
I don't think you can require them to use their vacation time. I don't think you can require them to use their
Alright.
vacation time for the COVID.
but that'd be.
Or for anything.
You said something about if they get it on the job, is it?
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, your road and bridge people, or I would say at work.
How do we prove where they got it?
Yeah, you can't.
It's hard, very hard to, but.
I tried to research if they've gotten it on the job, and if it's been no, they've gotten it outside.
I think that'd be hard to do.
It's gonna be hard to do, but.
Well, we just have to look at the health department, I guess, and working through that, maybe try it. If we run into a problem, we can come back.
We can always address it later on.
Yeah.
I use me an example. I'm out in the public enough in 2 different spots. How would I ever know where I got it? And I'm sure we got employees like the sheriff's department or road and bridge. That'd be hard to do.
And it might be a case where if they come down with it and you can't pinpoint, you're gonna wind up paying them 60%. But at least it's 60%, it's not 100% of their pay. That's gonna make them wanna come back to work
Okay.
versus sitting at home doing nothing and got a paycheck. We hope.
Well, we'll try to move forward with that then, and,
But we don't want to come back too soon either.
I think it's 10 days, isn't it?
Yeah,
10 days now.
10 now, yeah.
Or 8, it just depends on your time of the
They
day.
keep shortening the time frame, I know that.
8 to 10 days.
So-
I just figured by day.
so it's kind of a bit of a policy. Should we get with Wade on that to get it written, or do you want us to send out an email, or?
Probably better have Wade write it out and then we vote on it, correct? or do we need to do that?
I'm not sure you wanna put that in the fall, I mean, just a one-time deal. that-
Yeah,
I don't know whether you need that in the policy manual or not, that'd probably be a good question.
All right.
We can talk with him and see what, but we can at least let him know what he said today, so.
All right.
Okay. And that's all I had for today.
I don't have anything I don't say. I'll be gone the rest of the week.
Just economic that I asked you about.
well, I suggested last week that everybody think about economic development and kind of avenue they wish to take, so I wouldn't mind having a 15, 20-minute executive session just to discuss and get everybody's thoughts. The only thing I did have maybe for Angie is, like I say, a few questions that come up about their W-2. You were saying it's,
Yeah, we've talked to the few that have had questions, there's only been a couple.
okay.
They're trying to match it to their last paycheck as year-to-date annual, and when you pay out health insurance and different things like that, your total gross is gonna be less on the W-2 because you're gonna pay less taxes on that than what your gross total is gonna be on the paycheck.
Okay.
So we've explained that, and everyone else has been fine, so I don't know who else has issues, they can call us.
Okay, just making sure. So Donna, we'll go to you before we go into executive
Okay.
session.
I received a call from Bill Williams, and he had visited with Wade about the
Fence.
fence viewing. And apparently the project did not get completed, so he's wanting to set up a new fence viewing. So, and Wade had told him to let me know. So, you need to, if you can, give me some times that would work for you to go do the fence viewing.
When I visited with Wade after I was out there 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, wherever it was, because the date was January the 10th or 12th. Wade said he had to not necessarily bring a new application to us, that the job wasn't completed on 90 days, but he had to bring it to our attention. And that may be satisfactory. We can visit with Wade. Is Wade available to visit with today at all?
He said only if we needed him for something, but I guess we can do our executive session and maybe
We probably need a little
he'll have
clarification.
time to break free from whatever he's going to be here when we get back out of that.
Probably need a little verification on that, and then Bill did bring up the vehicle issue that
That'd be
zoning, and I talked to Heidi last week, and Wade's understanding was that had been turned over to the state, and Heidi verified that, and Heidi said if she didn't hear anything in the next week or 2 or 3, she'd visit with the state to see where that was at. So that is still in the process of being worked out.
Okay.
And, you know, the fence viewing, when I was out there, like I said, that one day, and there was a few steel posts driven. There wasn't any anchor hedge posts on the corners or nothing. And like I said, I got out there crawling with a fence, and there were too many dogs around. I didn't know what to do, so I got back. The project is not completed, or it wasn't as of that date. There were probably 15 or 20 posts driven. I couldn't see far enough south because there's so much brush and everything, and the brush hadn't been cleaned up. So I doubt the post went very far south. So if Bill's given proper notification, I guess we can see what Wade does. We can set a new date to work with.
If that's good enough notification, then yeah, we'll set up a date. So that's a question for Wade when we get back again.
Okay.
Anything else? Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session, discuss economic development for 15 minutes.
All second.
Seconded. All in discussion. Yeah, good commission, yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. We're going at 10:13. Not at 10:28. I used to be able to add so quick in my head.
I'm sorry?
I used to be able to add so quick in my head.
I still get along pretty good with it.
I always had to. I never see.
I have a file, wait.
Okay.
I went and pulled it.
Uh-oh, wait here.
Good morning, Wade.
Yes, good morning.
Man, they are.
Not sure about that, but
We are back. Don just had a question whether Mr. Williams is calling about the fence deal was enough, or whether we need to.
Maybe some miscommunication. Mr. Williams contacted me, as the board will recall. There was a previous fence viewing. Anytime there is a fence viewing, and that fence viewing ends in whatever capacity, to have the board come out and review whatever the situation is, there needs to be a request for a new fence viewing.
Right.
I've relayed to Mr. Williams, he needs to follow the procedure he followed last time. If he has issue with where the current status of what the legality of the fence is, and my understanding is that's what he was gonna do. I think, from what I understand, maybe he called and thought that that was enough. But he needs, if that's what he wants done, he has to fill out the paperwork, has to be presented to the board, and then the board has to determine who their fence viewers will be, and it starts the process over. Each and every time.
We'll just have Donna call him back and say, same procedure as last time.
So that's the short answer.
That's a good enough one. I
And do
mean,
we keep the same fence viewers?
I think that's up to the board.
yeah, well, that's what he just said. We'll vote on that at
Okay.
that time, once the paperwork gets to us, so.
I don't think it has to be the same fence viewers. In fact, it may be more advantageous that it be different fence viewers.
Well, the other thing I think of, if it's the same, at least you know what the improvements have been, and somebody new wouldn't have an idea of what it looked like previously.
Yeah.
So, you can keep the
Cross
same.
that bridge when we come to it, I guess.
Wait, was there not, and I don't know how this one happened, I know how others that I've been on have happened, was there not an agreement made between the owners that was to be filed in the Register of Deeds office?
That was
So if that agreement was made and signed by both and filed, someone hasn't done it, haven't they just not fulfilled the agreement? So is there something back on that instead of another fence viewing?
It depends on if the agreement's on file. My understanding is there is no agreement on
Okay,
file.
that's what I was wanting to know, yeah.
They mutually agreed, but that's just the words. I don't think it went further.
No written agreement filed.
There was,
Not that I'm,
my understanding was there was gonna be something put together between the two landowners that was put in writing about what their intent and agreement was related to the the fence and boundaries, and then that was gonna be filed with the register of deeds. But that was something that they were gonna do themselves and then have it done. My understanding is it didn't make it that far, but that's not the role of the fence viewers nor my role. So,
That's not on file, we'll just call Mr. Wade and have him resubmit.
that take care of it?
As far as I'm concerned,
Okay.
if anybody else got questions? Did you have anything else you wanted to share with us?
Not,
Okay.
not today.
Anybody else got anything? I had Rhonda copy off those, that last application. Everybody's got a copy. Going once? You in place? That, we're at 10:36.